Hey everybody, now today's video is probably one of my most requested videos. I can't count the amount of comments I've gotten saying, Remy, what's your thought process when you're going for multi-kills? What knowledge can you give us to make us better players? I made a specific Halo 3 PC tip and trick video kind of outlining things in that game specifically that help you improve. But there's a lot more that goes into it that say makes you better at multi-kills, makes you a better player, and just helps you overall perform generally better. I figured since I've answered these comments a million times, it'd be nice to actually summarize it in one video for you guys. And hopefully people who are beginners, advanced players, people who are veterans and played for a long time might take something out of this video. Some of the things I'm going to talk about you can apply to any aspect of gaming, and it's really to help you just generally improve and be a better all-round player. So first and foremost, I want to talk about positioning. Now positioning is a very important thing. Not only you see where your teammates are positioned, it will dictate where an enemy is going to respawn. You're going to know where you have cover and from where. And at the highest level, it actually becomes a subconscious thing where without even thinking about it, your brain recognizes where your three teammates are with the little 3 clan tags that are above their heads, and you make decisions accordingly. I could honestly make a 20-minute video about positioning, where enemies are going to go, player behavior, and what they're most likely going to do. But the biggest thing I can say about positioning is once you play the game for long enough, people play the exact same way. Whether it's as simple as people camping on top of the base of Valhalla with a sniper rifle, or people loading up a Warthog and rushing a base in Assault, you'll find that once you've played the game for a long time, you'll actually be able to recognize what an enemy team's going to do. By doing this, you can actually analyze player behavior and you can see what they're going to do for the rest of the game, and you can counter accordingly. Very few teams will usually change up their strategy mid-game. It's actually very hard to change the way you naturally play in the middle of a game. So 9 times out of 10, when you actually try something different, often it's going to work 99% of the time. Only a very coordinated team is going to be able to adapt to a different situation and act accordingly. And you can put this into any game, that's just not just Halo. But people are the same across every video game. Once you play any video game for X amount of time, you'll see player behavior. You'll see people doing the exact same thing, where they're sitting up top on pit at their own base with the sniper rifle, where they're camping shotgun in Mauler spawn. It honestly all comes down to experience, being in that situation, and then learning from that experience if you don't do so well. So how do you get to a level where it becomes subconscious, where it becomes an instinct? To begin with, you have to be very mindful of everything that's going on. You need the game knowledge to support the decision making that you do. You need to know where they're going to respawn, where they've respawned already. When are the weapons going to respawn? Which power weapons? Are there going to be any vehicles that are coming back to life? Do they have the objective? Are they running the objective? Which way are they going to run the objective? Which ways have they run the objective already? Have you played against these people before? Have they played a certain way before? And that's what I'm saying. No person thinks this when they're actually playing. But once you become mindful and actually ask these questions and then apply them to your game, you'll see improvements. Honestly, a lot of things you take for granted once you know them because they become so second nature. But it's how you become a better player. You're going to notice that in this video, the number one thing is going to be repetition and practice. It's the number one thing to actually get better. The number one piece of advice I give when I'm actually talking about multi-kills and getting big multi-kills is having the practice to actually repeat the same situation over and over again and then become comfortable with it. So this leads me into my second point, being comfortable under pressure. If you're in a competitive game and it's very close, often in a lot of situations some people might choke. It's human. I make mistakes, everybody makes mistakes. But the best players can minimize those mistakes, analyze what they've done that was wrong, and then act accordingly in future. It's pretty cliche to say learn from your mistakes, but it's honestly the number one big thing. Now I use the analogy of multi-kills because it's the best way to show visual improvements in your game as you get better. Back when it was 2008, 2009, I could barely get, say, a Killtrocity or Kilimanjaro. I really struggled with it. And then as time went on, I started to get Kilimanjaros that slowly led to kill catastrophes, kill apocalypses, and then eventually Killionaires. It was a really good way to gauge how well I improved at the game. And as I learnt more things and added more things to, I guess, my repertoire of Halo skills, it led to me becoming an overall better player. So what's the best way to minimize the mistakes you make and I guess stay calm when playing Halo? And I've said this in a previous video before because I've actually done a video like this back on Halo 5, back when I first started really uploading. And the example I gave was when I watched a UFC fight commentary. They were talking about their training, what they do in lead up to an actual fight. And I found it really interesting that they said that they put themselves into such uncomfortable positions. The repetition of actually being in that position over and over and over actually lowers their heart rate when they're put into that position again in future. Because they're calmer, they actually perform better. The same thing applies to any high pressure situation. A lot of people choke multi-kills just from the pure adrenaline of actually thinking it. They overthink it, they don't let their body just play, they freeze up and they choke. The best way to actually become comfortable and not actually choke in any competitive scenario or situation is to put yourself in that position over and over again You have the mindset to actually analyze where you went wrong. Oh, say I ran the flag this way. It probably wasn't the smartest idea. Next time I'll run it this way if my teammate's in this certain position, and I'll see how that works. And if that works, you go with it in future. If it doesn't work, you pick a different plan, you try something else. That's why I personally love to watch other montages and see how they play, because they go for multi-kills as well, and I like to take some things that they do and incorporate into my own gameplay. I'm never going to think I'm the best player, I'm never going to think that I'm better than anybody else, because I always feel like there's more to learn, there's always something that I don't know that I can always add into the game. If you go about it with that attitude, you're bound to see improvements, and you'll probably become a much better player just putting the time in and being mindful of actually trying to improve. This leads me into my next point of people saying, oh, I've played for 20 years, I haven't gotten any better. Why is that happening, Remy? And that's because you actually have to be mindful about improving your game. That isn't going to be for everyone. Some people are just happy just playing casually, and that's completely fine. But for people who haven't improved and they want to see improvement in their game, watching other people who play, assessing why you're not doing so well, looking at scenarios as to where you haven't done so well, and looking for answers to improve is really going to help you along your way into becoming a better player. Finally, I wanted to talk about aiming, consistency, and how to be consistent when you're aiming on Halo. A lot of people ask me about my sensitivity. Remy, what sensitivity do you use? What controller layout do you pick? And the number one piece of advice I'd give to this is pick something you like, stick with it, and you'll be really good. The worst thing you can do is just change between settings over and over again. Hell, there's players who play on 10 sensors, some of them play on 3. Wouldn't recommend going any lower than 3. But as long as you play between 3 to 7 if you want to be a competitive player, 8, 9 or 10 if you want to do a little bit flashier stuff, and you pick a button layout that you're comfortable with, or even if you're playing keyboard and mouse and you're just playing Halo on PC for the first time. Personally, I have about 600 to 700 DPI, which is kind of quick, and then my mouse sensitivity is about 1.5 to 2. But honestly, if you pick something, practice with it, you'll see long-term progress. Again, it's all going to be about practice, repetition, and assessing your gameplay and seeing, oh, well, I did this wrong, maybe I'll do this differently next time. To answer a couple frequently asked questions that I get a lot about aiming, the number one thing I've noticed is Halo MCC is 5 or 6 different games. If you have everything selected and you're going game to game to game to game over and over and over again, it's going to be very hard to build up a level of consistency that's going to be very, very high because you're hopping between games so much. Each specific game has its own way to aim. They are all very similar in some ways, but in some they're very, very different. That's going to do it for today's video, guys. Hopefully you learned something. Hopefully you took something away out of today's video. I was thinking potentially if you guys enjoy this, I could make this into a little series. I really wanted to do a road to 1 to 50 as well, but it's been really hard to find games in ranked. But if you enjoy this kind of thing, I have a lot of different topics I could cover to basically make you a better Halo player. So let me know in the comment section down below if you'd like to see more of this. But for now, thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you all enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys later. Bye guys.